It's Monday again. It's another roll to roll. I'm Benj,
And this is Art.
And this is Dave.
and we're throwing the curtain back on kayfabe, but we record these in bulk. Chase is still doing work stuff because it's the same day. But today,
Shh.
You weren't supposed to tell them that.
I said we were throwing the curtain back on kayfabe. I hope we have wrestling fans out there. I'm sure we don't, but I'm going to still throw in references, especially since we're talking about monks. That's a transition. Monks are well, they're what you think they are. They're your Jackie Chan or your Jet Li or your other kung fu fighting. I guess 1970s Chuck Norris of the D&D world, and they do a lot of things.
Just a few.
Art, what are some of the things they do?
Well, based on your description, as you would guess, they are your unarmored, hand-to-hand specialists. They do get the unarmored defense, so if they're not wearing any armor, not only do you add your dex, but you also add your wisdom for your AC. So I hope you're a wise person. Kind of like Kane. Was it Kane from Kung Fu?
It is
Yeah.
Kane from Kung Fu.
A long time since I watched that show. As said, you got all your different monk weapons. They use the standard stats like all your other ones, but you add the flair to it for the monk. Like, hey, it's not a club, it's a nunchuck. Um, any and all of your simple weapons that you're using as a monk weapon, they can all use your dex. So that's the fun part about their martial weapons. Even if they normally wouldn't use dex, you get to use your dex. And once you get to second level, that's where the monks start getting a little bit more interesting. They get their ki, their inner energy to be able to do all their fun stuff. So, one option is you can spend ki to get a flurry of blows. Hey, I attacked. Instead of making a 1 bonus unarmed attack I can make 2 bonus unarmed attacks with the bonus action. You can use it to do patient defense and take a dodge action as a bonus action. Or, by chance, you can use it to take the disengage or dash as a bonus action, because, you know what? Things went south. It's time to move.
Speaking of moving,
Third level, you get your different monastic traditions that we'll get to here in a little bit, and the ability to deflect the missiles. So if you get attacked by a ranged weapon, you can mitigate that damage by some. And on to Dave.
So you get your normal ability score bumps at 4, 8, 12, 16, and 19. You get slow fall at 4th level. You can use your reaction when you fall to reduce falling damage you take by 5 times your monk level. So starting off, when you first get it, you can reduce falling damage by 20. That's pretty good. I don't remember what falling damage is. Is it still D6 for every
I think it's
10
a
per
feet
10
you
feet.
fall?
per 10 feet.
Per 10
over
feet?
10
Okay.
feet.
Yeah. So yeah, you can reduce falling damage quite a bit. At 5th level, you get extra attack. They only ever get 1 extra attack. Only the fighters get more than 1 to start off with, or period rather. But an extra attack is an extra attack. 5th level, they get stunning strike, which is one of their cool monk things they can do. Whenever you hit somebody, you can drop a key point, and they have to make a con saving throw, or they get stunned from the end till the end of the next turn, which is pretty good. Starting at 6th level, any unarmed strikes they count as magical to overcome resistance. Because it's about when you'll start encountering monsters that are immune to non-magical weapons. Your unarmed attacks count as magical, just to get through that resistance, so you don't have to worry about your damage being halved. 7th level, you get evasion, so whenever you have to make a dex saving throw that would let you only take half damage, if you pass it, you don't take any damage no matter what. And you only take half damage if you fail. So evasion's really good because it's going to get you. It's going to save you from a lot of fireballs, dragon's breath, anything that requires a dex saving throw. 7th level, you get stillness of mind. You can use your action to end one effect on yourself, causing you to be charmed or frightened. That can be really good because being charmed or frightened can be really bad, especially charmed. And then at 10th level, you get purity of body. You become immune to disease and poison, which there's no downside to that. Disease doesn't come up nearly as often. Poison can be a big deal depending on how often your DM throws enemies that have poison at you and how often you have to deal with poison traps. But it's always a good thing. And at level 13, you get Tongue of the Sun and Moon. You can understand all spoken languages, and any creature that can understand a language can understand what you say. effectively you get comprehend all languages. Because you can speak to anything. Anything can understand you, whether you know what they're talking or not. And then, Benj, where do they start getting at 14?
14 is insane. 14th level, you gain proficiency in all saving throws. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
That's the throwback to 3rd edition Monk that had all their saves were good. They had good
I
saving
know.
throws across the board.
It's so good. Unless your stats are crappy. But even if your stats are crappy, by the time you're 14th level, your proficiency bonus is +5, so you get +5 to all of your saving throws. It's crazy. At 15th level, you don't age anymore. Kind of like the druid.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get any older. Your body keeps on trucking. You can't be magically aged, and you no longer have to eat or drink. So starvation rules need not apply. Seriously, all saving throws. At 18th level, you can become invisible by spending 4 of your key points for a minute. You can just disappear for no reason. During that time, you also have resistance to all damage except for force damage. Again, that's insane. If you decide instead to use 8 key points, you can cast the Astral Projection spell without needing any material components. So you just go to the astral plane. It's called Empty Body because your body leaves, like it's gone. And finally, at 20th level, you get the traditional capstone ability of if you roll initiative and you don't have any key points, you get 4 key points, so you can still do things. That is crazy. Yep. Also, I want to backtrack a minute to Stunning Strike, because we didn't talk about the stun condition. And so I found it. A stunned creature is incapacitated, which means they can't take actions or reactions. They can't move. They automatically fail strength and dexterity saving throws, and attack rolls against the creature have advantage. That's crazy. So they can't. You're going to hit them with your stun, right? And then they're not going to do anything their turn because they're stunned until your turn again, and then you're going to stun them again. Like you're just gonna. It's a death spiral, and also all your friends that do terrible things that require a dexterity or strength saving throw. Well, it's going to work. So. Your wizard friend with Disintegrate just disintegrated that guy. Like, Chase isn't here to talk about disintegrating that player the other week. That's too bad. Disintegrate is not nice.
10d6 plus 40.
Yeah, minimum of 50 damage. Average of 75 damage. It's not fun.
Yes, it is.
Well, it's
especially
not fun
when you
on the
twin it.
receiving end. Like... You get hit by a green laser, you're going to be sad. Anyway, so that's just the monk. That's not even like the monk.
It's not
that
even
went
touching
to
the
school.
traditions. That's just what every monk gets.
Every monk does that. That's so much stuff.
They get something almost every single level.
Oh, they do get something every single level. Like there's no blank lines. And I mean, you don't understand what it's saying because it's called like Purity of Body and Diamond Soul and Empty Body and Perfect Self, but they're all really good. Especially proficiency in all saving throws. Wrapping my head around that is, I mean, I guess their armor class isn't going to be as good as someone else's because they're not wearing armor, but since you can turn all of your monk's weapons into finesse weapons, there's no longer a strength build for a monk. Every monk build is a dex build. Yeah. So you can tank your strength score. So as long as you have your dexterity and your wisdom, you crank those all the way up, you've got an armor class of 20. Hey, look, you're wearing full plate. You know? So, all the saves. Hey, Art, talk to me about going to school as a monk.
Well, the first one I ever did was The Way of the Open Hand. That's your classic I'm gonna beat the ever living crap out of you with my fists. The starting abilities I get when you do your flurry of blows and have your 2 bonus attacks, you can either make them have to succeed a dexterity saving throw or knock them prone to make it easier to keep beating them up. You can make them have to roll a strength saving throw or shove them away from you 15 feet, potentially off a cliff. No, I haven't done this, I swear. It was fun. Or the last one, you can use it to take away their reaction. So, guess what? If you leave to go fight somebody else, they can't hit you. If it's a wizard, they can't cast shield to help themselves out.
So wait, what if I just hit him with my first attack and made it a stunning strike, and then decided to use a key point to do a flurry of blows?
It'd be mean.
Well, yeah, because they're automatically going to fail their dexterity or their strength save.
Correct.
As per me just reading the condition.
Exactly. That one's
Monks are
best
so busted.
just a little bit. That option's best for the strength save, so you can just keep shoving them back to shove them into lava, off a cliff, over a waterfall, into the
You like
swift-moving
this
river.
off a cliff option.
And
Sensing a pattern
you get,
here.
You get bonus movement, so you can just keep chasing them. I'm going to knock you back
Yes.
15 feet, then I'm going to chase you and knock you back another 15 feet. That's
Yes. And that's only the 3rd level portion of it.
Okay, bye.
That's what you get at 3rd level for starting 3rd tradition. We haven't gotten anything else yet.
Monks get up to a plus 30-foot movement. That's just crazy by 20th level.
Double your speed.
Yeah.
Onwards with the tradition. At 6th
there's
level, you'll
more!
get your wholeness of... There is more. You'll get the wholeness of body. So, just like the fighter's second win from last week, or earlier today, you can heal yourself. So, if you're up in the front, helping the tank, you don't have to worry about the cleric having to get to you. And then once you get to 11th level, you get your ability called Tranquility. It's a special meditation that you do. Basically gives you the effect of the Sanctuary spell, which Ben's probably going to look up here in just a second.
Oh, I know what it does.
I bet you do. I haven't played my cleric very much.
They have to make a wisdom save or they can't attack you. So every time they try to hit you, they have to make a wisdom saving throw. And if they fail the wisdom saving throw, they either lose the attack or have to attack another creature. Which, if there's nobody else there, then they just lose the attack and keep trying. Like it works on barbarians.
Pretty much. But that'll start once you finish a long rest, and we'll go to the beginning of your next long rest, assuming you don't end it normally per Sanctuary, which I believe if you attack, it ends it.
If you attack at all, you could actually make a monk that was like a negotiator, and he just never attacked anybody, and nothing could hit him either. So you've just got to stand there and listen to what he has to say, I guess.
Pretty much. And the capstone ability at level 17 for the path is your Quivering Palm. That's where you take 3 key points to put those nice vibrations in wherever your target is. And, then you use an action later to say, by the way, you're dead.
They get a Constitution save.
They do. If they fail, they're reduced to 0 hit points. If they succeed, they're taking 10d10 damage. So, in all likelihood,
Necrotic
they're
damage.
dead. Yeah, necrotic.
Quivering Palm was pretty baller in 3rd edition as well. So
Yeah.
It was.
I mean,
I'd have to go back and
17th
look
level, you're doing stuff. It was the same thing. They make the save when you hit them. So
Right.
you knew whether or not you could decide that they were done immediately, or whether you wanted to take a swing at somebody else.
I believe
Is
that's-
that all? Is that all they get? Because I mean, they're monks; they get everything.
They do. That's the bulk of the way of the hand. Dave, would you like to talk about the next one?
I would. The next one is the Way of the Shadow, and that's going to be if you want to turn your monk into basically a ninja, or the old 3rd edition prestige class that I like, the Shadow Dancer. So, first thing you get when you hit level 3 is you can use your key to basically cast a couple spells. You can throw out 2 key points to cast Darkness dark vision, pass without trace, or silence, without using any material components. All very situationally good. Darkness is great if you need to get your party out of a situation. Throw darkness in the enemy party and just book it. And then you also get the minor illusion cantrip, if you don't already know it, so you can just, throw little illusions out there all day long. The thing about the Shadow Monk that I really like is the 6th level ability, which is Shadow Step. You get the ability to step from one shadow to another. Anytime you're in dim light or darkness, you can throw out a bonus action and teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space that's also in dim light and darkness. And, as if that weren't good enough, because by and of itself, being able to teleport 60 feet is really good. It gives you a lot of battlefield mobility, but you also get advantage on the first melee attack you make before the end of your turn after you've done your Shadow Step. So you can Shadow Step behind an enemy, get advantage, hit him, and then next turn, Shadow Step back over to somebody. You could just Shadow Step back and forth if you wanted to, and just keep pinballing enemies. At 11th level, you get Cloak of Shadows. If you're in an area of dim light or darkness, you can use your action to become invisible. You stay invisible till you make an attack, cast a spell, or in an area of bright light. It's never a bad thing being able to just be invisible. And then their capstone ability is called Opportunist. So 17th level, whenever a creature within 5 feet of you gets hit by an attack made by somebody else, you can use your reaction to make a melee attack against that creature. So whenever, you're in there in the front lines and your fighter buddy or your rogue buddy hits somebody, you can turn and smack that same guy because your buddy hit him too. Like I said, my favorite ability out of this is the Shadow Step, because that's just so useful. Not just for being able to bounce around and hit things, but also to get you out of situations. If you end up surrounded, you can Shadow Step and get out of it. It's just a bonus action. It's really great. So, Benj, what do you want to tell me about the Way of the Four Elements?
So I keep saying that in 5th edition, by and large, there are no bad choices. Here's a bad choice. The Way of the Four Elements turns your monk, which does a lot of really, really cool things, into a sorcerer, but it burns up your key points. So what they do is basically, at whatever levels you would normally gain an ability, you get to learn a new spell, like a sorcerer. But in order to cast those spells, you have to burn your key points, and you could really do other cool things with your key points. And they're all really cool elemental abilities. It's basically elemental spells, so you can make... If you are an Avatar: The Last Airbender fan, this is how to roleplay that. This is how to make that character. And it's going to be a crappy character. And I know if anybody was listening, they would go to the comments and they'd say, Benj, you're full of crap. This thing is awesome. But as a min-maxing twink, as I very, very admittedly am, this class is not as good as my other two choices. If I was on Let's Make a Deal and they gave me the 3 doors and I picked the door with the Way of the Four Elements, I would feel like I got the wrong door. You can do Cone of Cold, Hold Person. Hold Person is awesome. I really like Hold Person. I can't say enough good things about Hold Person, but it's not worth 3 key points. You can cast Stone Skin, which is really, really good. You can do Thunder Wave. You can do Fireball at 11th level, which is 2 levels after your Cleric can get Flame Strike, and 6 levels after your Wizard gets Fireball. You can get Shatter, Gaseous Form, Fly, Wall of Fire, Gust of Wind, Burning Hands, Wall of Stone, and then there are some other ones that are actually monk specific. But again, it's just burning your key points to do some sort of an elemental spell casting that another class can do better. And I don't like it. That's really, I mean, I know we're supposed to be talking it up. I don't like the way the four elements, because sorcerers and wizards do it better, and other monks are better monks. You basically made a subclass multi-class character, like subpar. There's better things to do, and you know what? Again, play what you want to play. If you want to be Avatar: The Last Airbender, be Avatar: The Last Airbender and pick all the air element spells, or be a firebender and pick all the fire element spells, and whatever you want to do, and then spin kick guys in the face, whatever. But that Shadow Monk over there is going to be a lot better at monking. And that sorcerer over there is going to cast a lot more spells per day than you are. Because you know what? You only get so many key points a day. At 20th level, you get 20 key points. You get a key point per level. And there's just so many better things that you can do with it. Even as a regular monk, without looking at the open hand or the shadow monk, you should be doing flurry of blows and stunning strike. That's what you should be doing, because you are going to be a better team player that way. Because if you stunning fist a guy, everybody else can wreck that guy. If you are, fighting around a volcano and you start punching guys 15 feet at a time towards the volcano, they're gonna, now I'm away of the four elements because I just threw a guy in a volcano. But no, I would rather be either other monk. And I apologize. I'm not doing what some fans would probably call due service to this class, but I don't like it. And that's pretty
as
much,
always, to each their own poison.
Yeah, I mean, talk to your DM. Your mileage may vary, but with only 20 key points per, is it per long rest or per short rest for your key points?
I want to say it's long rest.
I feel like it's a long rest. Key points on the monk table.
You get key points
Short
back
or
off a short or long rest.
A short rest? Okay, so you get 40 key points a day if you short rest after you run out of key points. Yeah, you should still stunning fist and flurry. That's really, you're going to get a lot more out of it. They also, you can even dump more key points into your spells to cast them at a higher level. So you can, it takes 2 key points to cast Thunder Wave, but at certain level, if you were to put 6 key points into the spell, you'd be casting Thunder Wave 4 levels higher. But that's the other thing. You have level restrictions as to how many key points you can spend on a spell. So until you hit 9th level, you're only allowed to spend 3 key points on a spell. You're throwing away your powers. In my opinion, in this gamer's opinion, Way of the Four Elements is a bad choice. And again, I apologize.
Yeah,
it's a bad choice.
I got excited when I saw it because that sounds really cool, but when you actually look at it, yeah, you spend you have to burn too many key points to get an effect, and as Ben said, you just turn yourself into a cut rate sorcerer, and why wouldn't you just be a sorcerer if that's what you want to do?
There's only so much gas in the tank.
Yeah.
You're getting all of your gas from the same tank. If I had key points in this tank and I had sorcery points in this tank, and my key points I did my monk stuff with, and my sorcery points I did my Way of the Four Elements stuff with, we'd be having a different discussion. But all my points come out of the same tank, and I don't like it. I told them when we were setting up I was going to dog this class, and I'm actually been pretty polite to it. It is awful. On a scale of 1 to 10, don't pick this class.
I was waiting for a negative number.
But no, it doesn't even rate a number. Don't do it. Do it one time in a one-shot, a mid to high level one-shot. Like level 10 to 15 in a one-shot. Just make one to try it out, and then never do it again. Because I wanted it to be good. I wanted to be. I've always wanted to be like a Liu Kang monk that shoots fireballs, and I don't. You don't even get like cantrip level spells. If they had cantrip level spells, I'd probably be okay with it. But they do get a cantrip called Elemental Attunement, but it's basically a thaumaturgy or a prestidigitation type cantrip. There's no damage to it. It's chill or warm up to 1 pound of non-living material for up to an hour. Cause earth, fire, water, or mist that can fit within a 1 foot cube to shape itself into a crude form you design. Create a harmless, instantaneous sensory effect related to an element. Instantly turn on or off the lights. Candle, torch, or small campfire. If I had a firebolt, we'd be talking about this more. But they don't get firebolt. They get actual spell level spells that they can only do. Even if I only used 3 key points per spell, I only get to cast 6 spells in a short rest, and they're going to be weak sauce compared to other things that a sorcerer or a wizard could do. So, I'm sorry, I don't like it. But from there, we can talk builds. Races. What races do we like?
For the monk,
I mean, Dave's gonna say human.
I was actually going to say half elf.
Oh, he's gonna surprise me for once.
Yeah.
Monks don't need feats. What are you talking about?
I mean,
Half elf.
Human for everything because humans are good at everything, and also half elf for everything because half elves are amazing.
Pretty much.
But I'm also going to say wood elf because they already have a higher base movement and they get even more, and they get a wisdom bump, and I'm fairly certain they also get a dex bump.
And a dex bump because they're elves. Yes,
they're really well built to be a monk. From a role-playing standpoint, because monks are traditionally lawful because of the whole, monks have an order. Wood elf is a little bit more chaotic-y, but
discipline, I would say.
Discipline,
but yes,
yeah.
Order.
But yeah, order and discipline, and wood elves are the more chaotic of the elf, and elves are chaotic to begin with, for the most part. From a role-playing standpoint, not really make much sense, but from a mechanical standpoint, they make really good monks.
Also, from a mechanical standpoint, I like hill dwarves because you could always use more hit points.
Yeah,
and they get a minor wisdom bump.
Yep.
Nothing in the dexterity department, but the minor wisdom bump is nice, and all the hit points.
And seeing a dwarf hit things with his fists and do monk spinning kicks just sounds amusing.
You know what? I would see that more as your Tom Poe kind of monk instead of your Liu Kang kind of monk. Like I see like heavy hits.
More of your Master of the Drunken Fist.
Well, no, he's got a really good constitution. Like you don't see dwarves being tipsy. They're
That's
very
true.
solid. They're very solid. Honestly, anything with a dex bump because dexterity for everybody. Let's throw in halflings while we're at it because, hey, you know what? They don't get as much movement, but they're monks, so now they can keep up. That's super nice for a halfling. Maybe a gnome for no reason because they're so not designed to do anything.
So sad how gnomes are. So sad.
Art, as the resident dungeon master, how do monks fit into your world? Because as a player, my view of Dungeons and Dragons is more of your medieval Western European style affair. Monks don't really fit into my worldview in Dungeons and Dragons. Fix that for me. How do you fit monks in your world?
There's a few ways to do it. Most of the monks, they'll have their little monasteries that they'll work in. They're not normally in the big cities. They're not common, but they can be found. You can find ancient teachings in libraries that'll lead someone along those traditions as another option. They do tend to be the harder to find for your traditional medieval, they're the harder to find race for it. I know currently in Forgotten Realms they've got a couple specific locations where they've got them. Names are eluding me at the moment, but they're still, in comparison to like the fighter that we just did last,
Right.
they're not as common
I
traditionally in the
accept
world.
that, especially since they have the uncommon races. You can say this is an uncommon class,
Yeah.
and I guess I can wrap my head around that a little bit more. It's still like medieval England. I don't even feudal Japan, like an Asian setting. I'm thinking ninjas and samurai, not monk. But I guess it's
It's a,
probably more of a Chinese or a Korean tradition than.
with with the way it's portrayed, it is. There were monks back in medieval Europe, but they weren't as fighting as what most people think of as a monk.
Right.
They were the cloistered um, scholars and researchers more than anything else.
Well,
Yeah.
sure. Cool. Final thoughts.
Monks get an awful lot of stuff, and because of that, they can seem really overwhelming to a new player. And to be completely honest, they can be, because it can be one of those classes where you have so many things, you forget everything you can do. So, please, for those listening who haven't played yet, do not play a monk for your first character. It will not go well for you.
I mean,
Normally not.
I don't want to discourage anyone from playing a class. I would I would not pick this first though. Kind of
No.
like
No.
Warlock. Like I would steer clear of Warlock, and we'll talk about that when we talk about Warlocks at the end of the alphabet. Um, yeah, I would say Fighter, Barbarian, Cleric,
Yeah.
maybe Druid for your first character.
Those are kind of your starters because they're the most straightforward, easiest to pick up classes.
There's a
Monk
guy in our group
is not.
whose first character was a monk, and I think it was really not good for him. And you know which game we're talking. And it was even a high level campaign. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't even. It
That
was a
makes it worse.
terrible way. It was a
Yep.
terrible way to introduce this guy into
That's
the
the other
game.
thing.
And I
If
think that was probably the
Yeah.
worst thing. I mean, again, I don't want to discourage anybody, and that's why, like, he played what he
Nope.
played.
Yeah,
But
I'm not trying to
was-
discourage anyone. I'm just saying, for your enjoyment, it's best if you start off with something a little bit easier because it can be really easy to start playing a really complex class and get frustrated with it because you forget things that you're able to do, and that can be frustrating because I get frustrated when I do that.
well,
Even
not
when I
only
play
that, but
like
you're trying to learn the rules, and you're
Yeah.
trying to learn the world, and you're trying to learn the common courtesies of actually playing the game and how to react at the table and
yeah,
how to role play. The last thing you want to do is try to figure out the mechanics of your own character.
and remember what
Yeah.
you can do when you've got a big list of like 12 things you can do at first level. Like, no, you need to have a list of like 3 things. You
How many
can
things did Art talk
attack
about before third level?
a
Just a
lot.
few. And the monks got a lot of different things, whichever way you take, that can
Yeah.
help control and
Yeah.
shape the battlefield, which takes a lot more tactics. So
There's also that their tactics require. They're not like a straightforward walk up and punch it class.
well, you can, but
You
You
can walk
can.
up and punch things, and you're going to do a really good job of it. But then there's
Yeah.
a lot of other things you can do with it.
Yeah,
You're going to punch
you-
them, and then things are going to happen to them.
You'll get a lot more mileage out if you play a monk a little bit smarter than you might play a fighter, where you will just walk in and start hitting things.
Yeah. So again,
Yeah,
not to discourage
Nope,
the new players,
but just
but
be
there's
warned.
a better choice.
Yeah,
And also, don't take away the 4 elements ever.
nope.
That-
Unless you want to, but
Unless-
don't want to.
Unless you want to, but don't. Just, I promise, don't. Cool. All right. Well, that's the monk. I'm Benj,
and I'm Art.
I'm Dave.
and keep on rolling. Whooka!